Here are the top 3 mistakes I see people make when trying to e-collar train their dog. Number 1 is starting too soon. If you don't own a long line, if you haven't used a long line, if you haven't had to untangle a long line, if you haven't had to wash dog poop off a long line, you're starting too soon. This is step number 1. Teach your dog all their obedience commands first, and then you're gonna layer the e-collar on top of them. The second mistake people make is not having a plan. Think about the stim for a moment. Are you gonna use it as positive punishment, or are you gonna use it as negative reinforcement? You have to know the difference between those two phrases. If you don't, you're not ready to start training with an e-collar. How about the vibration? Is it a warning? Is it a threat? Is it a pager? Is it a reward marker? It could be any of these things. The point is, though, you need to know what you're gonna use it for before you start your training. The next big mistake I see people make is failure to acclimate the dog properly. This is the hardest step, it's the most important step, it's also the most time-intensive step. You need to acclimate to stim and vibration separately, and you need to work until your dog is 100% sure of what both of those things mean. Let's jump into each of these mistakes a little bit more in depth. So the first one, if you just try to get into this too quickly and you don't spend enough time training your dog, you're most likely either gonna scare your dog, you're gonna make them nervous, or you're just gonna set back the training. It's not gonna go well. Your dog needs to know what come means. And I say come, this is where most people really think about an e-collar, for off-leash work. If your dog doesn't come when called and they run from you, there's a good chance they don't know what the command means. That also means you put an e-collar on, it's not gonna fix anything. So do your long line work first. You cannot skip this step because you need to be on point as well. So when you call the dog, you need to say it in the same way each time. You're probably gonna say their name, then you're gonna say come, you're gonna praise, maybe you say yes the second they look at you, but you can't just learn this on the fly. You need to develop habits. You need to work with your dog over and over and over. You need to be great at this, and your dog needs to understand right from wrong. Now when you get to the e-collar, it is gonna be so much easier. Now let's talk about your plan for a second. We'll start with the stim function. Is it positive punishment or negative reinforcement? Both are valid ways of training. What positive punishment means is you're doing something. You're adding a stimulus in order to punish a behavior and make it less likely to happen. So that would look like the dog doesn't listen to you, you tell them no as you push the button, and then you call them again. Or if they're jumping on someone, you tell them no as you push the button. Negative reinforcement is different. Negative reinforcement means you're taking a stimulus away in order to reinforce the behavior and make it more likely to happen again. So this would look like you have the e-collar on a very low stim, you call the dog as you're pushing it, when the dog starts coming, you release the button. Those are very different ways to train. We have a full-length video I'll link below that explains the difference and how we train. After you figure out how you're gonna use the stim, you need to think about how you're gonna use the vibration. I gave you a lot of options earlier. All of those are okay. You could use it in any of those manners. I prefer to use the vibration as a pager though. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna call the dog, I'm gonna say, Ralph, come, as I push the pager, the vibration. Through time, when he feels that vibration, he's gonna associate it with come and he's gonna come to me. I do not use it as a threat. I do not use it as a warning. Some people do. I'm not telling you that's wrong. What I am telling you though is you need to figure that out from day one. Here's why. If you're using it as a warning and you're telling your dog no as you push the vibration and it's kind of like, hey, you've been sort of bad, so now you get the vibration, but maybe I'd give the stim if you were even worse. If you train in that manner, your dog's not gonna forget that. Now later on, you wanna use the vibration as a pager, your dog's gonna associate it with correction. He's gonna be very, very confused. So figure this out before you start. And I saved the most important for last. This is acclimation. I prefer to start with acclimation to vibration. What's really important here though, is you have to separate the vibration from the stim. If you do stim first, that's okay, but you cannot do them on the same day. So I start with the vibration. What I want the dog to know, and I just said this a minute ago, is I use it as a pager. I want him to know it's a good thing. I do this over and over and over again. I have a full-length video on this. I use a lot of treats here. Even if you're not a huge treat trainer, this isn't about luring. This isn't about getting the dog to listen. This is about teaching them to associate the vibration with being a good thing, not a scary thing. So I spend a lot of time there. I like to work until I get to the point that I can just push the pager button and the dog runs over to me without me saying a word. I do that over and over until I get to that point before I move to the stim. Once your dog understands what the vibration means and they have mastered it and they're coming when called every single time, you can add in the stim. I prefer to introduce this on a heel walk. And what I mean by that is, what I don't want you to do is just have your dog loose in a field and you start trying, to use the stim as a correction. The reason is you have no idea what your dog's working level is. Nobody knows. I'm a professional trainer. You could show me your dog. I have no idea what their working level is. We have to figure that out. If you're using a Dogtra collar, it could be anywhere from like a 3 to a 30, and it just depends on the dog. So I like to get them on a heel walk, and I have them walking at my side. And when they don't heel, they get out of position. I will tell them heel along with a light stem. I start at like a 2 or a 3, and I always have a client feel it on their arm first. The goal, if they feel it the first time, that means you started way too high. As you slowly increase the level, eventually you're gonna see a little bit of an ear twitch, or maybe they look at you like, huh, what was that feeling? That's what you're looking for. That becomes our initial working number. All you're trying to do is catch their attention. If you're making them nervous, it's way too high. You're certainly not trying to scare them. The biggest point here, though, is take your time. And you might watch me do this with a dog on leash and wonder, what is the point? I want my dog good off leash. Isn't that the goal? Absolutely, but you also want your dog to be confident. You don't want them scared. You want them loving their e-collar. If you start this on leash, it's very easy. And within 20 or 30 minutes, you can be practicing in a field. If you do that, though, make sure you've got a long line or a fence until you've dialed in the working number, because you have no idea how your dog's going to respond when they see a squirrel, a bird, or some high level of distraction. I hope this is helpful to you. Reach out with questions. We'd love to help you.